Hello and welcome to this new video. In the previous videos, we integrated Steam player progression into the game. In this video, we will discover a new topic, which is the Steam Inventory Service. The Steam Inventory Service is a system that allows users to manage, store, and trade virtual items related to Steam games. It is a part of Steam's broader platform for managing in-game assets, such as skins, weapons, cosmetics, or other items tied to specific games. It provides a system for users to not only manage these items but also gives developers the tools to create in-game economies around virtual goods, such as loot boxes or microtransactions. This service will be used in the next videos to integrate Steam in-app purchases via the Steam microtransactions service. It is worth noting that Unreal Engine has no dedicated interface for managing the Steam inventory or Steam purchases. This is an added value of the Easy OSS plugin, which allows you to integrate these Steam services into your game via Web API implementation. In this video, we will display the inventory in our game. It is important to note that inventory has two meanings: the game inventory, in which the developer defines the game items, for example, which could represent the game store, and the user inventory, which contains the items owned by the user, such as items purchased from the game inventory. To integrate this service into your game, make sure it is enabled and configured in your Steamworks. To do this, go to your Steamworks application. Check the Enable Inventory Service box on the Inventory Service page. You can open the Steam documentation to better understand the functionality of this service. As mentioned, to implement this service, the first step is to create the item definitions for your game inventory. An item definition represents an item to be created for your game inventory. You can click on this link to upload the file containing your item definitions. You need to use your Publisher API key to set the asset server key. This is done in the Steam Economy settings. To do this, go to the Economy settings and copy your Publisher API key into the asset server. For me, this is already done. Now, let's go to the Item Definitions page to define the items for the game inventory. On this page, you will find full documentation of the structure of an item definition with all the properties an item can have. What's important to note is that an item must have a type. The item type is the item that can be added to the user inventory. The bundle is a collection of items with defined quantities. When this item is granted, it automatically expands into the set of items configured in the bundle property. For example, a crate that contains several items to be granted. The generator and playtime generator types are similar to the bundle, except that a generator randomly generates an item to grant from a bundle of items. I can't cover all the types in this video, so I want to show you an example using the item, bundle, and generator types. Below, you have a table containing all the properties that an item definition can have. It is worth noting that an item definition accepts localized properties, such as description and name. It is also worth noting that you can add your own properties, such as a tag that identifies an item. An item can have the promo property. A promo item can be automatically added to the user inventory, for example, an item that is granted when the player unlocks an achievement. Also, an item can have the exchange property. An exchangeable item can be exchanged with other items in the user inventory based on defined criteria. I can't explain all the possibilities of an item definition, so I encourage you to read the documentation to learn what you can do with the inventory service. It is important to note that an item can have a price. If the item has a price, it will be automatically added to your game store. When you define a price, you must follow the price format defined by Steam. In this video, I want to use the Steam currency, which is VLV. Here you can find the VLV preset pricing table. At the end of the page, you will find an example of a file defining multiple items. In the inventory service page of the application, I have already uploaded a file of item definitions containing 9 items. I will show you this file, and you can find it in the GitHub project. Basically, I have 7 items of type item, 1 item of type bundle, and 1 item of type generator. Don't forget that you can add your own properties to an item definition. We will see later how to find them using the Easy OSS plugin. For each of my items, I have defined an icon using the URL property. Here is my item definition file. It's a JSON file. Item 1 is of type item. It's a sniper named Car98. I have defined a price in VLV currency. I have also defined a description, a tag, and an icon URL. The isConsumable property in each item is my own custom property that I defined, which helps me determine if the player can consume this item or not. We will see later how to use it. Item 2 is an item of type item. It's a rifle named M416. It has a price in VLV currency, and it is not consumable. Item 3 is an item of type item. It's called gems. It has a price and is consumable. I consider it an item that the player can consume to obtain something in the game. Item 4 is an item of type item. It's a grenade that is not consumable. It does not have a price, but the user can only obtain it through exchange. In my example, it can be exchanged for 1 item 1 and 1 item 3, or 1 item 2 or 5 item 3. Item 5 is an item of type bundle. It represents a special crate. It is not consumable and does not have a price. It grants one of each of item 1 and item 2. Item 6 is an item of type generator. It represents a special generator. It is not consumable and does not have a price. When granted, it gives a random 50% chance of item 2, a 30% chance of item 1, and a 20% chance of item 3. Item 7 is an item of type item. It represents an upgrade card for a weapon. It is consumable and does not have a price, but it is a promo item that can be granted when the player unlocks the Jump 5 or Jump 10 achievement. Item 8 is also a promo item, but it can be obtained manually. Therefore, the task to add the item to the user inventory must be called. It represents an ID card that allows the player to change their username, and it is consumable. The drop start time indicates the time from which this item can be added to the user inventory. Item 9 is also a promo item, but it can be obtained if the player exceeds 15 minutes of playtime. Here I have used app ID 480, but you should replace it with your own. It represents an XP protection card, so it is consumable. It is important to note that the inventory service manages both game and user inventories, but it is up to you to implement the logic for unlocking game assets when an item is granted. For example, if the player is granted the sniper item, you need to grant them access to your weapon asset. Don't forget to specify your app ID at the beginning of the file before uploading it. You can also edit your items directly on this page. To display your game store and test transactions, you need to enable the item store in your store settings. Once activated, you can display it by clicking on this link. We'll see later how to display it from within the game. As you can see, only the items with a price are displayed in the store. Now that we have the items with prices in the store, we will proceed to integrate the full store into the game using the Easy OSS plugin. This will allow us to display the store to the player and potentially handle transactions directly from the game. We will cover the steps for showing the store in-game, making purchases, and processing the transactions. Let's dive into the plugin integration. We will start by creating the inventory widget. So, go to your Lobby Widgets folder to create it. I need to add a tab for the inventory service in the Lobby widget, so I will rename the support tab since Steam does not have a support service. Replace the implementation of this button to set the current switcher index so that it displays the inventory widget that we will create. For me, the widget will be at index 7 of the switcher. Modify the Set Active function to include the inventory button. We are going to create the widget to add it to the switcher. Create a folder named Inventory. As we did for the player progression widget, this widget should have a navigation bar with several options. These options will be added in the next videos. Duplicate the player progression widget into the folder you created. The option we need to have in this video is the Game and User Inventory, under which we will display the game inventory and the local player inventory. I will delete the other tabs. I will replace the implementation to add child widgets to the switcher. For this video, we will have a single child widget representing the inventory tab. Correct the Set Active function. Add the inventory widget to the Lobby widget switcher. I want to resize the tabs to make the display clearer. We need to create the Lobby tab widget to add it to the Inventory widget switcher. I am renaming the Inventory widget so that it will be the Commerce widget. Add the Inventory folder, in which we will create our inventory widgets. Copy the Player Stats widget in order to create the Inventory widget. Delete the widget implementation. To integrate the Steam Inventory service into your game, you can find all possible features in Easy OSS under E-commerce Steam Inventory. Basically, you can get the item definitions of your application, add an item to the user inventory, consume user items, consolidate user items, exchange user items, get user inventory, and get the quantity of user inventory items. The task Get Steam Game Item Definitions allows you to find all the item definitions defined for your game. It is used to display your game store in the game. The modified since parameter is optional. If you provide a list of item def IDs, the task will search for and return only those items. The task returns a list of item def structures. An item def structure contains all the information about an item's definition. As you can see, it's a large structure. The plugin tries to return all the properties that can be used to define an item. It is important to note that the properties defined for an item will only be valid if they are defined for that item. In other words, if a property is not defined, it will be empty in this structure. I don't want to display all the properties in this video, so I want to choose what interests me. It's up to you to work with this structure. As you can see, this structure only contains the properties defined by Steam. However, if you want to get your custom properties, like the isConsumable property I defined, you need to use the first element of this structure, which is the JSON string representation of the item returned by the HTTP request. You can then use the load JSON from string node to access all the return properties, including your own custom properties. To use it, make sure that the JSON plugins are enabled. So, I want to create the table representing the item definitions, in other words, the game inventory. I set the layout of the size boxes to have a clearer display. Under the icon column, I will display the item icon using the icon URL returned. Under the Add to User Inventory column, I will display a button that allows adding the item to the user inventory. In the purchase video, we will see how to add the item after a purchase made by the user. We now need to create the inventory item widget. To do this, I will duplicate an existing item widget and then adapt it to the game inventory table. Adapt the content according to the game inventory table. The first element must be an image representing the item's icon. I set the layout of the size boxes for a clear display. Duplicate the size boxes to add the other elements. The last element is a button that serves to add the item to the user's inventory. Add items to the scroll box to get a preview of the table. That seems good. In the item widget, fix the update content function to update the content of the row. We need to pass the structure of a game inventory item to the widget. Use this structure to update the texts. It will be a long process since the row is large. Connect each text to its corresponding pin. I won't update the icon image in this function, as it will be a latent process, so it should be done separately. Obtain the Web API key and the app ID from the game instance. We will need them later. We need to set the item's icon, so I need its icon URL. Use the download image task to download the icon. If the call is successful, update the icon. We need the Web API key and app ID in the inventory widget. Add them in the event construct. Add a custom event that is used to refresh the UI. Call the task that gets Steam game item definitions to obtain the game inventory. In my application, I have many items, so I only want to get the items I showed you in the JSON file. For this, I use their IDs in the query. This doesn't necessarily have to be the case for you. If this list is not provided, the task will return all the items. Promote the array of items to a variable. Display an error message if the call fails. Clear the content of the scroll box before adding the returned items. Create an item widget for each item and then add it to the scroll box. call the custom event refresh in the event construct. I will also add a refresh button that refreshes the UI when clicked. Call the refresh event when this button is clicked. Add a button that is used to display your Steam store in the game. We need to add the game store URL in the game instance so that it can be accessed from any object. In the game instance interface, add a function to get this URL. Implement this function by providing your game store URL. You can find it in your Steamworks application on the item store page of your store. I remove the protocol since I will open it with the external web UI, which does not accept the protocol. Add the onClicked event for the button. Get the store URL in the event construct. Call the task to show the external web UI, passing the store URL to it. Don't forget to add the inventory widget to the widget switcher of the commerce widget. Launch the game to test. And there you go, in the Inventory tab, I can see the table of items I defined for my application. The icon of each item, its item ID, name, description, and type are clearly visible. For example, it is clear that the type of item 5 is bundle. For the bundle and generator types, the associated bundle is clearly visible. For the promo item, the promo definition is visible. We can see the quantity defined for each item. We can also see the price for the items that have a price. If we click on Refresh, the table will be updated. The Add button is not implemented yet, it will be done in the next video. Click on Open Store to open the Game Store. And there you go, we have the Game Store which only contains the purchasable items. This is the benefit of integrating the game inventory into the game. It allows you to display everything directly in the game. We'll continue the work in the next video. That's all for this video, see you in the next one.